is Mrs. Smeckens, and we've been working on readers asking questions of the text they read. We've learned that we need to preview the text, grab details, and come up with questions before we read. We've learned that we have to keep questioning while we read. As you gain new details, you should have new wonderings. We also really worked on, then as you're reading, you should be looking for the answers. You should be able to answer the bulk of the questions you generate about a passage. You should be able to answer them. But every once in a while, the answer you come across, the details you see, you say, whoa, what does that mean? That is not what I thought. And you're confused. Okay, so in the last lesson, we talked about how those details can kind of come out of nowhere and just really throw off what you thought was happening, what you thought was going on, and it's because of your schema, remember? And so I had you read these real short passages at the end of the last lesson and identify what do you visualize is happening in this scene. And my guess is while you were sketching those out and reading, you all of a sudden realize, whoa, I got to change my picture. That's not what I saw because of a detail. And so we were practicing this idea of reading on and adjusting if that was necessary. Well, let me just super fast show you what images I was basing these short passages on. Here, this girl, the girl and the dad were playing dress up and everything was fine until it said she was coloring with lipstick. Huh? And colored her dad's arms, back, and face. Huh? That's when you probably adjusted your understanding. You probably were good with skateboards and leaning in for maximum speed and wearing goggles, but it was watermelon helmets that threw you, right? And laundry basket vehicles. Had to adjust. All right, someone doing yoga, not unusual. Wearing a wristband, a sweatband, no big deal. But it was the large belly that threw us, right? And the stretched white tank top. A man on a subway, holding the bar above him, holding his coffee, no big deal. You probably had that plus a lot of other details using your schema. And then it said that the car was empty. And so you got rid of the people. You adjusted. But then it said he was wearing a bathrobe and slippers, and you really adjusted because you probably had him going to work or something, right? Yeah, this is what readers do. Remember this last passage was the fill in the blank one? Okay, now, again, this is a classic example of schema. You're reading this closed passage trying to figure out what the blanks represent, and you probably pulled on your background knowledge, your schema, and you know a lot about family. And so you were thinking parents and children and fathers and mothers, and yeah, I got this. This is cake. I can guess it. Yeah. Had I told you, though, that this was about poultrymen, farmers, chicken farmers, my guess is you would have started a little differently. Yeah, because your schema filled it in. But yeah, this is about poultrymen and chickens. And it's banshees and geese shouldn't share the same barnyard or even sleep in the same roost. It's not boys and girls in a bedroom, right? Or a bed and room. Yeah. So we worked on the idea of asking questions before and during reading. And when you're looking for answers, inferring answers based on details, every once in a while, you're going to have a confusing detail. So we got to fix up our understanding. We got to adjust, reread and adjust. All right, I'm going to talk a little more about questions of confusion. But in this lesson, I don't want to talk about if you're confused about a big idea, the overall understanding of the whole passage. That's what the last lesson was. In this lesson, I want to talk just about if you're confused by a word. What does that word mean? And I want us to stop asking the teacher. All right, you need a plan because your teacher's not going to be with you for the rest of your life. And so you will definitely face a lot of words you don't know what they mean. And you need some strategies. I know you know about context clues, but I don't know if you're using them. I don't know if you really know what are types of clues in the context. And I'm pretty sure you're not taking advantage of looking inside the word before you look outside the word. Before I get to my specific instruction, let's honor the fact that as you read more and more informational text, this is where you're going to face a lot of the unfamiliar words, the words that are going to confuse you. Okay, authors are trying to teach you some information about some topic in nonfiction, and they're going to use a lot of big words that go with that subject matter, domain-specific words. Okay, this is normal. And authors know that this throws off their readers, So they do something. They give clues. They know these words are likely unfamiliar. And so I don't want us just to learn how to question the text when we're confused. I want us to question the author as well. I want us to question, so what would the author have given me that might help me figure out the meaning of this word? Because authors want you to understand what they're writing. They want you to make sense of it. And so they're going to give you helpful clues. We just need to know what they are and where they are. Okay, so before context clues, let's talk about looking inside the word. Context clues has you looking outside the word. Okay, on either side of the word, you're looking for clues. Okay, we'll get to that. Some of your most helpful information is inside that very word, the word you can hardly pronounce. Yeah, you know what it is? It's roots. You do all this work with word within the word, and you know this part means this, and this part means this, and this part means this, but you're doing word within the word over here, and then you're reading, and you're not bringing that knowledge with you. You guys, when you come to a word you don't know, the first thing you should do when you see that word is look for its parts and think, okay, it ends in shun, so it's a thing, it's an object, it's a noun. Okay, so it ends in ing, it's a verb. Oh, it starts with re, so it's again, something again. Oh, you got to start looking for the clues. That's why I got it in green up there on your screen, is because they're reading voice clues. Your first clues are going to actually come from within the very word you're trying to figure out. You might not know all the parts, but do you know any of the parts? Because that's huge. Figure that out. Apply that knowledge. Use your background knowledge. Not only would knowing the part of or parts of the word, roots of the word, but also recognizing if it's an adjective, it's a describing word because it's in front of this noun. Oh, it's an adverb, it ends in ly. Oh, it's a noun. Oh, it's a verb. You might not know what it means, but you know what part of speech it is. You guys, those of you who know your grammar and parts of speech, this is huge to help you figure out meanings of unfamiliar words. All right, so this is why we've been working on it so much. Teachers are pounding it in your head. It actually helps you be a better reader. Okay, so we look first within the word for clues. Then we look outside the word, and this is context clues. All right, so let's stop throwing that word around like we all know what it really means, and let's name it. What do we mean by context clues? Well, first, let's define context, and it means nearby. Okay, so the clues that are going to help you figure out this word, if they're not in the word, the author, ask the author, hey, question the author, where would you put some clues that might help me figure out what this tricky word means? I'm trying to figure out what it means. Nearby might be the word right before or right after. Nearby might be within the sentence. Nearby might be a sentence or two before or after, within the paragraph. It might be within a couple paragraphs. That word comes up a couple different times, and you get another little detail, and you're putting the pieces together to figure out, oh, I think it means this. So nearby is huge. You've got to understand that if you don't know the word, what it means, then just expect some helpful clues. Go look for them. We'll talk about what are clues in a minute, but just expect they're there, and you got to look for them. You got to be thinking about them. All right? Thinking about what clues might be. All right. Also keep in mind that the clues most of the time will be words, phrases, sentences before and after print, right? Okay, before and after that word. But clues might be visual. There might be an asterisk and there's a footnote and it tells you what it means. There's a vocabulary box, a glossary box. There's a photo and the caption is explaining the word and what it means through the description of the photo. Those visual clues are helpful too. Now, I think we tend to use those when we see them. It's the print clues that require a little more effort on the reader's part. So let's talk about what those clues might be. Let's talk about what some of those context clues might include. And I want to zoom in on 8 in particular. Okay, so the first one is that the author might give you just a short definition. Okay, he just tells you what it means right after it. And I'll tell you what, often, literally right after the word and separated by commas. He uses a word and he says animal, invertebrates, in a science book, and then he puts an M dash, a long dash. That's what a long dash is called, an M dash. And he says animals without backbones, and then goes on to tell you more. Or he uses a word and then boom, in commas or in parentheses. You guys, you got to recognize the power of punctuation marks. All of those parentheses, those commas, and those M dashes, those are inserted extra clues that the author is giving you if you take note of them. So short little definitions set off by punctuation. Or the author literally says this means, which means right after the word, right after it, boom, it goes right into it. Might be another sentence, might be the same sentence, but that is a red flag. Hey, I'm giving you a simple definition here. Look for it. Look for it. Okay, now, remember when I said that sometimes the nearby clues aren't within the sentence or even in a couple sentences, but they're strewn throughout a couple paragraphs, a longer description, and each clue you're picking up is helping you get closer to what it means? That's what this third one is, a long explanation, a long description with multiple clues sprinkled, all right? They're all kind of implied. It's not real obvious, but if you add them all up, it's very clear what that word would mean. Authors do this on purpose to help you, the reader. All right, another type of clue to be on the lookout for is a translation. Talks about some bug animal called a gastropod. And then in parentheses, it says this is stomach foot, because gastra means stomach and pod means foot. And so this idea, it means stomach foot. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, got it. And so a literal translation of the roots. Yeah. Authors do this sometimes. Look for it. All right. Not only do we get translations, we also sometimes get the function, the purpose. The author might not tell you what this word means, but he does tell you what it does, how it works. That's sometimes just as helpful. I still don't know what this actually is, but I know it does this in the body system. Gives you a clue, helps you make meaning. Look for it. All right. Another one is an example. So the author says, and the vigilante groups, and then goes on, and you're like, what's a vigilante group? All right. And it says like the Ku Klux Klan. So it gives you an example. You might not know what a vigilante group is, but you know what the Ku Klux Klan is. And that helps you start to figure out, helps you predict what a vigilante group might be. All right. Synonyms. Yeah. Related words, synonyms. That's what we're talking about here. It says blank, 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 comma, blank, comma, blank. These 3 or 4 words, a parallelogram, and then goes on to say a parallelogram, a rhombus, a rectangle, and a square. Now, I know what everything was but the rhombus. What's a rhombus? Well, it's similar to a parallelogram, a rectangle, and a square. So it's in the same ballpark as that. And so that helps me make meaning. Yeah. And I keep reading, and I'm possibly going to get some more clues to say, yep, you were right, Mrs. Smeckens, or no, Mrs. Smeckens, that is not what a rhombus is. And I'll have to adjust. But nonetheless, those related words help me. Synonyms. And not just synonyms, antonyms. Sometimes they say, okay, I'm trying to figure out what filibuster in this sentence means. It says some senators will use very few words to explain their point of view, while others will filibuster. Okay, it never told me what filibuster meant, but it did say that some use very few words, while, however, others filibuster. So I see filibuster, and I know it's the opposite of very few words. See how authors do that? You guys, when you question a word, would you look to the author for clues? Because they give you clues. So don't keep saying context clues. Know what is context, how far, how big, how much space does context include, and what are the clues that we're talking about? All right, let's try this. Let's see this in action. I've got a couple excerpts here. This first one comes from our Supersized Fast Food Facts article that we read a couple lessons back. Okay, so watch how this works. There is also the sodium, salt, to think about. Do you see it? If I don't know what sodium is, the author's helping me. He put salt in parentheses. Yeah. And if you thought you knew, having salt there helps confirm what you thought it meant. Good. How about obesity? That leads to weight gain and even obesity. This author could have stopped the sentence there, period. But this author says, I may not know what obesity means. So let me go ahead and throw in an extra detail. And do you see how he did it? Parentheses, you guys. Take advantage of the punctuation, wearing 20% or more above ideal weight. Okay, here we go. Order a combo or value meal. What's a combo? I don't know what a combo is. Keep reading. Or value meal. Oh, it's a synonym for value meal. See how that works? Yeah, that's what readers do. They're constantly looking at the clues authors give them. All right, help me with this next couple. All right, let's look at G-forces here. Okay, now I'm going to tell you right now, this is a good example of a much longer set of details. It's going to be a longer explanation. You're going to pick up many clues. So even if you think you know what G-forces is, let's see if we can't get a better idea of just how fast it is. Okay, here we go. Picture it at almost 80 miles an hour with wicked turns at G-forces so powerful you cannot raise your helmet from the ice, which glitters just an inch away. G-forces pin the rider on the tiny sled like a bug on a cork, and even a glance to the left or the right or up or down can minutely shift a rider's neck and shoulder muscles and alter direction and even speed. Okay. So G-forces is fast, I know, but can we get any more specific than that? This author is giving us lots of little clues as to just how fast. What are some of the first clues we get? 80 miles an hour. Okay, so that already helps. But again, I don't know if you're in your car driving 80 miles an hour, if your parents are driving you 80 miles an hour, you might not really appreciate 80 miles an hour. So what else do we know about just how fast 80 miles an hour is? Keep going, what details? Yeah, you're going so fast you can't even lift your head. Okay. This is that skeleton article about the Olympics that we read several lessons back. Okay, what else did you see? The slightest movement can pivot the sled, right? Go in a totally different direction, alter it significantly. That is minor shift, but major degree change. That's big in speed, pace, and how fast G-forces is. See how those were sprinkled? You got to look for them sprinkled. Details won't be right after the word all the time. They won't always be in parentheses. It won't always scream, which is, this means, right after it. So you might have to work a little harder. But authors want you to get their ideas, so they're giving you clues. You just have to know what to look for and how to piece them together. All right, let's jump over here to the online post article we read previously. This is just an excerpt. All right, what does brand mean? In the context of this, what does brand mean? People now have a personal brand, which is how you appear to the world. I've seen how social media becomes part of a person's brand. Your brand can help you or it can hurt you. All right, so what are you thinking? What are you thinking? The author's giving you clues. There's a red flag clue, which is, yeah, we've got to notice which is. Yeah, this means, which is. That's a red flag sign that here's a simple definition right after it. Good. So what does it mean? What does brand mean? It's how you appear to the world. Good. All right, let's drop down. 34% of employers found bad information online about people who work for them. This information caused them to scold or even fire those people. All right. So we see scold. I don't care if you know what scold means. I want to know, how did the author help you? You guys, this lesson isn't about vocabulary. I'm not teaching you new vocab words. I'm teaching you strategies to figure out any word you question. And look at how the author is giving you clues that will help. So pretend you don't know what scold means. So what details in that little context might help? We know it's negative. Found bad information. So we know it's negative. Look in the same sentence. Scold or even fire those people. Scold or fire. Scold or fire. Those are synonyms. I mean, firing's worse. And I know it's worse because it says or even fire. So I know scold isn't as bad as firing, but I know it's bad. See? See how you can put those clues together? This is what readers do. All right, now, if you were in Mrs. Smecken's class, here's what I would ask you to do. I would ask you to utilize the Steve Jobs graduation commencement article that we've looked at many times. And I have highlighted 6 words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. And I've put them each on these next 2 pages. Naively, serif, sans serif, diverge, affairs, dogma, idealistic. All right, here's the thing. I want you to read that article, or at least the context where those words are. And my goal is not you to give me the definition. This isn't a vocab lesson. My goal is for you to tell me, based on the context, what do you think that word means? That's what you're going to write below the word. Use context strategies. Tell me what you think the word means. Don't Google it. Don't bust out a dictionary. I'm not checking definitions. I want to know what you think it means based on the context, the words nearby. And look inside the word, because there might be clues in the roots. But here's what I really want to know. And it's because I know you probably know what idealistic might mean. You might know what diverge means. But what I want to know is, can you recognize the clues? Every word I chose because the author gave you clues. Somewhere nearby, there are clues. And the second part of each of these words is, tell me what clues the author gave you to help you or someone who didn't know that word figure out what it means. Did he give you synonyms? Did he tell you the translation? Did he use the phrase "this means"? Did he give you a definition? Did he put it in parentheses? What did he do? All right, so all authors want you to understand their ideas, and they do these context clues to help you. We just have to take advantage of it. If you were in Mrs. Smecken's class, you would be reading through the Steve Jobs speech. You would then give me the meaning of each of these words and the clues that helped you. And to further support you, I'm going to give you that list of different types of context clues with some sample sentences. So you'll get that too in your student resource. If you were in Mrs. Smecken's class, that's what we'd be doing, but your teacher might have a better idea.